This is episode 4, right? Yeah.
Part 2.
And we are live.
Welcome to episode 4 of Operation Impart. I am joined with Sabian, Jeremy, and Connor this week for part 2 of the Bugout Essentials, what we recommend that you have while you're going on. Also, keep in mind if you missed last week's part 1 of Bugout Essentials, that is now live on YouTube. You can go ahead and check that out at Operation Impart. This week, we're going to hop right into our first news story. This one came out a few days ago. It's the Connex CEO arrested on suspicion of storing election workers' data in China. This is a new article, started out as kind of like a conspiracy theory, you could say. Everybody was accusing him of doing it. There was no solid proof on it. He was arrested October 6th and formally charged by the LA District Attorney's Office as they seized the hard drives and all digital evidence against him. This is now an ongoing case, and we will keep you guys updated as we learn more.
So there was voter fraud.
There was voter fraud.
It wasn't
Coming out
like
of China, though.
It wasn't like. So is this voter fraud here in the U.S.?
Yeah, it was here in the U.S.
But
so,
okay.
they kept all of the voters' information in China, so there was no solid way to hammer it down right around the same time.
Even though we had 2 or 3 states that got audited and came out with having fraud, and for some reason we still kept the verdict.
I know. Hey, Dragon, how's it going? Good to see you back in here. And so we will jump into the first part here. We're going to be covering SLLS and situational awareness, along with physical fitness and how it's important in a bug out situation.
So SLLS is, or SILS for short, is stop, listen, look, smell. I know smell, the last one's going to be a little weird to everybody, but so the first thing to do is, you're trucking through and you kind of get a little eerie. You have that gut, that intuition turning in your gut. Best thing to do is to stop, as in SILS, stop, look around, watch your environment, see what's going on, see what's moving around, animals, see if you can possibly spot other people, stuff like that. Listen. You can kind of tell the difference between deer, rabbit, how big brush is moving. Obviously a bigger figure like a big deer or a taller human compared to a rabbit, snake, stuff like that is going to make different brush noises. So listen, and then smell. Smell for tons of different things. You can smell people's cologne, people's body wash if they're keeping clean out there. People are going to smell if people don't go out into the wilderness often, or on the trails often, you, even yourself and other people that don't do that often, are going to smell different to people who are constantly on the trails, constantly in the woods, constantly getting dirty, because the environment hasn't settled onto you and became part of you. The U.S., places like this, we're pretty cleanly in the most part. Maybe not the streets of Tacoma, but
Compton.
we're pretty clean human beings. That's a big thing. We all get on each other. Hey, you smell, stuff like that. You should probably take a shower. It's not going to be the case in the wilderness. So all our fabric softeners, the way our clothes smell, what we like to smell like, is going to be an indicator to someone else who is either tracking us or evading us or whatever the case may be, that, hey, someone's around us. Burnt casings from your bullets, your firearms being fired, that is going to go out, give a distinct smell. If you shoot a lot, you are going to be able to make that distinct smell. Fires. Sometimes if a bear just shit in the woods, you can smell that, or someone else shit in the woods, you can smell that. But you just want to be, it's an extra step for you to, and everything's in line for you to put into aspect of situational awareness, always having that going on. You're using your senses, your eyes, your ears, your smell, your touch. Um, at the same time of stopping, you're taking the variable of yourself and the people you're with out, so it can only be other people or other things moving about. Um, but I'm gonna pass this on to the other guys to talk a little bit about what they found upon sills and situational awareness as well.
Right, I
Well,
really
it's
think.
good. Oh,
Ooh,
go ahead.
awkward. Skills and situational awareness really go hand in hand. Um, if you can't practice skills correctly, your situational awareness isn't going to be as good. It's really got to be able to break down what kind of situation you're in, what you need to be aware of while you're out there, what your climate's like, where you're at, and really take all of those things into account.
Hmm. Good thing to do is just practice it all the time, even when you're out and about. You don't even need to be in the woods.
Yeah.
You can be at the mall. You can be in your own home. Just stop, look around, listen, smell. I mean, it all. I
What?
mean, it all just kind of. I don't know. You kind of just have to make it work for your life. If you're out doing things by yourself, it's a lot easier. You don't have people looking at you weird. If
Yeah,
like if you look like you're paying attention to everybody, you're gonna kind of stand out for a little bit.
yeah.
Right,
I
but
don't
I mean,
know.
like,
For the more like not adept, because normal people I guess people who practice it all the time, they could just go about their day and you know
Not really
any
gonna noticed.
right. But it's good to
right.
practice.
But yeah, I mean, I mean, I don't know about everybody, but I do it on a daily basis. It's 10 o'clock at night. You hear a weird noise that you don't usually hear. You stop, look, listen. I don't usually smell. I mean, that's not something I usually have to do, but that's where the situational awareness comes into play. Um, you're out at the store and you hear a bunch of yelling and screaming. You're going to stop, look, and listen. It's just being aware of your surroundings and what's going on.
Hmm.
Smelling is
Cells
gonna.
actually helped me when the house actually almost burnt down. I remember telling Sabe about this. I don't think I told you two about it. The power adapter for my mom's fish tank got water in it, and it started catching fire behind her fish tank. And I didn't realize it until I smelt it burning and heard it like zapping behind her fish tank.
And that goes on with kind of your own self evolving to know different smells, because if you've been around multiple electrical fires and stuff like that, you know it smells like fish. So the fact that he could smell an electrical fire next to a fish tank is pretty impressive, because of the fact of two things that smell an awful lot like fish and copper, kind of that coppery fishy smell, and being able to tell that that's a distinct difference, um, goes that he trained enough and has been around enough stuff to know that that would be the difference. So that's a part with training a lot, going into the woods a lot, and preparing for the situation is you're going to pick up those habits and those smells yourself in the woods, and then you'll be able to take out the distinct differences that you start smelling, such as colognes, spent brass casings, gunpowder, all those different things that you usually don't smell in the woods. Um, so yeah, you really got to work on training yourself constantly on knowing the environment that you're in.
Hmm.
Right, and then with these goes hand in hand also your physical fitness, um, and how prepared you are for what you might have to do. I mean, obviously, right now I'm probably in no position to be talking about physical fitness, but it is something that you should be prepared for. You should be able to hike 10, 15 miles in a day and be okay. You should have okay breathing and stuff like that. You should be physically prepared for what you might have to do, especially if we're in this situation of talking about possibly having to bug out. Talking about walking 10, 15 miles in a day with 45, 55, 60 pounds of gear. And it's something you need to be able to do. Because if you can't, well, I can't think of that saying right now, but only the strongest survive.
Survival of the fittest.
Survival of the fittest. That's what I was after.
If you suck, you suck.
Pretty much.
Missed a primo opportunity for the greatest fucking pun. Or not pun, but like fucking
Saying.
Saying.
little tidbit, yeah.
I don't know.
You're gonna fucking die if you don't train physically, emotionally, all that stuff. You're gonna fucking die.
Oh, I mean, that's a pretty abrupt way to put it, but you're not wrong. So
I mean, if on other topics,
true, though.
on other topics we're gonna talk about later on, if you're not trained and you have to stay in the woods for longer than 3 days, I mean, you might be able to go with infections for 3 days, but I mean, all it takes is stepping on a branch and having that branch go through your leg or your foot or whatever and get gangrene, lose a foot almost, or, cut your hand on sticker bushes and now you got tetanus because if you know about tetanus is usually from soil. Dirty soils, not from oxidized iron, like, yes, the stigma of rusty nails, but a lot of it comes from dirty soil. So if you're not up to date on tetanus shots or haven't been around a lot of rust, I mean, that could be a possibility. You could get tetanus when you're out there, and that only takes a day. I mean, one singular day, and you are fucked by tetanus. And then, yeah, I mean, you gotta keep training, or else something is gonna take you out. Situational awareness. If you're not aware that that bobcat that you passed, 30 feet behind you, is there, you're probably gonna be dinner.
At
But
that point, I'm not even risking it. I'm taking that motherfucker out.
it's good. Yeah, I mean,
That's food. That's
for
hide.
for a while, that's food for a while. Bobcat's
Yeah,
pretty
especially
big.
when you smoke it.
I don't know. There's not a whole lot of fat on
Oh, dude,
cats.
lean beef is the greatest, dude.
I mean, there's probably more nutrition in a bobcat than a fucking rabbit.
Duh.
Fair.
Duh.
that was very fair.
But which one are you likely to see first?
Bobcat.
Okay.
Which one are you gonna be able to catch? Those little sons of bitch
Oh,
rabbits.
say
are
froze.
quick. Yeah, everyone's freezing a little bit.
That is not a flattering picture to fucking.
No.
No.
You look like you're gonna
No.
sneeze. Okay, Save. You look like you're back.
Apparently, you need to go hardwired as well.
I am hardwired, my guy.
Oh, that's rough then.
That's fucking embarrassing.
It doesn't help.
Oof.
It doesn't help that I have 7 things on right now, connected to my Wi-Fi.
You just gotta tell Morgan to.
Get the fuck off the Netflix.
All right. Or other videos.
I think I have Netflix downstairs running and no one's watching it besides the dogs, maybe. And then she's doing.
Well, if any of you
schoolwork.
guys have any comments or questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. We'll answer them as we see them.
We all anything throughout this video, just ask away, even if it's I'm doing schoolwork. Thanks, told you. And she's watching us, so she's doing two in one. So fuck you guys.
I didn't say shit.
I know.
Coming at me like that. Jesus.
But
Just keeping up with the Kardashians right now.
if you have any questions about SILs or situational awareness / even physical fitness, if you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to gain weight, we can touch briefly on that. But from there, we're going to go on to navigation, communication. Obviously, navigation is going to be key in being out in the woods. It's not like we're going to have street signs, but there are going to be landmarks that you can indicate. A good thing with navigation is, I'm going to say, one, don't cheap out on your navigation. Most of us right now, it's not like you have to go buy a standalone thing. I do recommend a standalone thing that specifically does GPS alone, and some other stuff, but mainly its focus is GPS. But most of us have a good old $1,400, whatever $100 iPhone, Android, smartphone. We all have GPSs right here.
Good old gyps.
Yep, good old gyps. Before that, we'll talk about some standalones. Then we'll go on to some other stuff with iPhones and Androids and stuff like that, and why you should be a little bit more with Android, but we'll get into that later. Garmin has their own satellites up in the air. So they're going to be kind of the better option for GPSs. They have some other cheaper options and stuff you can get. I believe they have Cobras and stuff like that. But with GPSs, if you're going to buy a standalone, do not cheap out. Look at your options, obviously. Garmin's a very reputable country.
Garmin's a country now? Fuck.
Garmin's a country.
Damn, dude.
Anyways, Garmin's a very reputable company.
It's like Wakanda. You can't find it on a map.
Yeah, right? But they have a lot of options out there. They have standalones like the E-Trex. The E-Trex, I believe from what I was reading on, is kind of something you should download more at home first. Get it prepared for whatever mission or journey you're going on, because from what I was reading, it can't really do that out in the field. It can kind of follow you along in the field, but it can't download that information in the field. So there's that.
And keep in mind, we're doing this based off the situation that cell phone towers are down. Your smartphone is no longer working. You're deep in the woods to where you wouldn't have service. Anyways, that's kind of what we're basing this all off of.
For having a standalone, we'll get into the iPhone or the smartphone stuff in a second. There is a possibility of cell phone towers going down, stuff like that. Most likely, satellites aren't going to go down. That requires someone attacking space, and usually people don't really attack space often, or things in space often. But satellites or cell phone towers are down. The only way to really do this is GPS or good old standalone map. If you're using a map, maps are going to take up a little less space. Not so much with the Garmin. Garmin's are pretty small, but maps are very compact. You know, you can put them wherever you really need, in your plate carrier, in your backpack, whatever. Do recommend if you do it that way, you have multiple maps, region maps, topical maps, so you can see elevations and stuff like that to help you further know exactly where you are. That's going to go in with situational awareness with landmarkers and stuff. You got to know exactly kind of where you are on certain things, and taking those landmarkers of, hey, I just passed the river right here and now going up this steep incline. I am possibly or probably right here. Along with that, you're going to want compasses. I don't know if any of the other guys got into it more. I unfortunately didn't get the chance to look at good reputable compasses. They're
Really, in my opinion, it's 2022. Your smartphone has a compass in it. Even if you don't have data or anything like that, you've got a compass with you.
But for how long?
Yeah, because
Right.
a real compass goes true north to the pole. It goes off the magnetic pole. That being said, it is magnetic, so your belt loops and stuff like that are metal can interfere with compasses. That is a possibility you're gonna have to take into account. You might have to put your gun on your back, sling it to the side, and hold it outward, stuff like that, so you're not interfering so much. Ley lines, which is or cross sections of ley lines might have more magnetic poles to them, so it might not be as accurate there. They usually are plus 2 to 4 degrees anyways, but that's what I was kind of talking about with reputable compasses. Is the more degree you can get, plus minus 1 or 2 degrees is probably going to be your best bet with compasses. But getting that, a degree is going to kind of like MOA. The further you get, the worse off you are if a degree is off, So you want to make sure that you have a good reputable compass. And then I know
I think the brand I got is a Gerber, and they usually do pretty good with all their products.
Gerber's are pretty good. I have a Gucci Snap-on one, you know, because mechanic light. Multi-tool you should always keep with you, because it does multiple things. But Gerber, this is also a Gerber. It's a great little tool to have, and compactable. But I know Nate was talking earlier about to us about the Garmin's, and he had a pretty good one that he was talking about.
Right. So with in my opinion, the Garmin is one of the most important things that you can have. Even inside of your vehicle, they make Garmin's for the inside of your vehicle that are 100, 150 bucks. The cool part about Garmin is, like you said, they have their own satellites in the sky, so you're not relying on Wi-Fi or cellular service, anything like that. It's based 100% on GPS. The nice part about these Garmin handhelds, this one is a Garmin InReach Explorer Plus, so it has maps of the entire United States, all of Canada, Alaska, and then down into Mexico as well. So anywhere that you're gonna have to go in there, it's gonna have the maps. It has the GPS, so it pinpoints you where you are, eliminating the need for a compass or anything like that. And you can, let's say you're in the middle of the forest, you know that you have to make it to a water source. You can pull out your Garmin, find your nearest water source, and set it a route to get you there as quick as possible. Now, the downside to a Garmin is it still operates on battery. These guys have about 24 to 48 hours worth of battery life, depending on how often you're using them to actually guide you to places. The nice part is that they come with a little portable charging pack. It takes 30 minutes to charge up and can fully charge a Garmin 3 times.
That's pretty good.
Okay.
Now, it does have a little steep of a price tag at $450, but like we said in the beginning, your navigation should not be one of the places where you're cheaping out.
No. And I would always recommend, even if you have a GPS, to still have a map of the area that you are most comfortable going to,
Right.
and having a compass and having a protractor along with that, so you can get the perfect angle of where you need to go. I would always have those. Find a spot you can hide those, put those that you can get to, access easily, just in case that Garmin does go down. You still have a backup plan to that.
Right, and I guess to clarify, I'm not saying that you should not have those things. All I'm saying is the Garmin, if you were in the spot where you needed to conserve space and you knew for a fact it was only going to be 2 or 3 days, this would eliminate the need for those items. But it never hurts to be over-prepared.
Yeah.
Going in from there, Garmin's usually run $2 to all the way up to $1,000. $200 is going to get you a base model. You know, that is not going to be a very great one, but it's going to get the job done, and it's going to be reputable. $1,000 ones, going to be fucking top tier. I do have one up on my screen as the Garmin InReach Explorer Plus. This one is both GPS navigation, and it is also a satellite phone. So you can make your calls for communication. The good thing about satellite phones is it goes straight up on the y-axis instead of the x-axis, kind of like our phones, making it harder to, if you're trying to evade someone, it's going to make it harder for them to intercept that call. So that kind of is the plus side. That one,
Right, sat phones are the most secure form of communication.
Right now, we are getting some CB. Ham radios are pretty good as well. Ham radios, unfortunately, you do have to, at least right now, to be able to broadcast on those frequencies, you have to get certified in it. You can do it online, and it is very easy to do. So I recommend, if you have the time, have the extra cash, to just get certified and do that, be able to broadcast on ham radios, because that is a very secure. They have encrypted wavelengths that you can go through to make sure you're not getting compromised in whatever your mission is. But for $450 for this Garmin, which is local at, Cabela's, probably Bass Pro, places like that, most wildlife areas or places, it's pretty good. I haven't really read the specs on it, so I'm not sure how long it will last. You can also send text messages on it, which will be nice. In case you can't get that call to reach, but you can get a text message to send. Usually doesn't take as much to send a text. But yeah, and then we're going to dive into a little bit more of the communication side. We're going to jump to Jeremy with some comms and some radios.
Well, to be honest, I really don't know as much as I should, but a good thing to jump into as far as like having a handheld personal radio would be a Baofeng. I use this with a Disco 32 PTT setup on my plate carrier. So even though in the moment I really don't know how radios work, oh, sorry, I'm getting a call. Seems like I'm more important when I'm on the podcast than when I'm off. So with the not with the PTT. With the Baofeng radio, these things are incredibly cheap. In fact, I believe like the Taliban use these, and a bunch of Americans like hate them for using these. There's like terrorist radios or something like that. Like the people in the Middle East eat these things up. They buy them all the time, and they're apparently quite useful.
So why do you have one, Jeremy?
Why do I have one?
The Russian
So I can
spy.
talk to my
Taliban?
friend. So I can tell my friends good night when I figure out how to use one of these.
The Russian spy.
These are apparently, if I remember correctly, you can plug them into your computer and you can actually like mess around with the frequencies just on your PC or on a laptop.
Yep.
You don't need to really like tailor it that much, but if you really want to, you can. Although I would recommend buying an $8 like extension antenna. These things do thread off. The range with these antennas is not very they're not very good. I have tested it out with a friend where I live, and he was quite far away, probably about 8-10 miles out of town, and it was very staticky. I couldn't hear him. Even with my Peltors, which I have everything hooked up, like my Peltors can work with my Baofeng. It was very difficult to hear him, so I think I'm gonna spend $8 and maybe a little bit more in shipping to get a foldable flat antenna.
They also have mountable extensions, so it's a big long cable that's probably like 20 feet. You could always stick that up in a tree wherever you're at and be able to broadcast further out. Baofengs usually run about $70 on Amazon. Another good one is the Tri 15 watt 152 multi-band military tactical communicator. They run on eBay roughly like $340 after shipping, which is pretty pricey, but they are reputable. They do last pretty long. They are rated for elements, so you can get them wet, you can get them dirty, stuff like that, beat the shit out of them and still have them work, which is a good thing. I believe the Baofeng is CB from what I understand from frequencies, and we'll talk a little bit about that with frequencies. Is our smartphones and stuff, the smaller the frequency, the more the thing can contain information. So like our smartphones they use short frequencies, so they can't send very far without a middleman, essentially. So a way to transmit that one thing to the next one to the next one. So yes, we can text people all the way across the country, but that's because we have that infrastructure that can tether off and get it to there.
Right. We have all the cell towers that just ping and ping and ping and go. It's
exactly
designed for that.
If infrastructure is not a thing, if global annihilation essentially goes wrong and we don't have cell towers and the infrastructure is shit. There's portable ones like the U.S. used that can go from, a ground troop to a vehicle or a vehicle to another ground troop and have that communication bounce further and further. You can always go ham instead of CB. CB radios are gonna have that kind of mid range to short range of being able to throw the distance without being interrupted. And then ham radios are gonna be in that it can't contain that much information, but you can make those calls or you can send those texts further distances without that middleman. But even those transmitters to get it a little bit further. So if you had one guy that was in another state, and you had a guy right in the middle. So we'll say Washington to Idaho. If you had one dude in eastern Washington, one dude in Idaho, and then you were in western or probably south Washington, and you're trying to communicate, you could have that picked up by that middleman in eastern Washington. From there, we will go on to camouflage. We'll start off with Jeremy.
Yes, this is actually something that I do know about and I'm a little bit more prepared for. Camouflage that I have recently found out is quite something to be interested in. One of those things is camouflage doesn't always mean outside in the woods. It could mean urban environmental. There was a picture floating around, I believe, last year of an airsofter who covered himself in cardboard and trash, and or maybe he wasn't an airsofter, I don't know. But he essentially took clippings of like cardboard and plastic bags and covered himself, and it was a very, very effective setup. Like camouflage
on the streets of Seattle, he'll blend right in.
Oh, definitely. All you gotta do is just, sit on the sidewalk and camp there for a bit, and nobody will know you're there unless you're taking shots. At that point, you kind of have to just bug out and run.
Now we have example A. Athena is going to demonstrate camouflage for us.
She's
a dog.
Can't even see her.
She can't even see her against the black. Sorry, we just had a cop got shot, unfortunately, at the Tacoma Mall just a few seconds ago. So that's why the dog's in here.
Christ.
She's freaking out. She does not do gunshots very well. So there's your instant news of the day. I heard I felt those shots. If you could tell how I got distracted in that last conversation, I was like looking over because I heard those. I heard gunshots and I was like, oh fuck. So.
Well, good thing you're in the room full of fucking guns.
Right?
Dave is just gonna post up. Where are they? Where are they, motherfuckers?
Lee Harvey Oswald up here out my window, just like, where are they?
Right. So actually, I'm gonna get into the more applicable camo types for Washington.
Fix your mouse real quick, Sid.
My mouse?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. So there were a couple for Washington. One of them that I found for more like colder winter months was M05 Winter, and it's more of a digital camo. I only looked into that camo type for about 5 minutes, and that was last week. So I don't know as much as I do. But I don't know. I'm kind of making it up as I go. The common, which is very, very interesting. This is actually a camo that the Germans used during World War II. They actually patented the Flecktarn, which sounds like a city-state, Flecktarn camo, and that is more applicable for where I live here in the Midwest. A long, long time ago, I think it was for an airsoft game. I wanted to be more camo related. This, in terms of bug out, is fantastic. This is just a poncho. This is, I think, like a USPI like poncho. Maybe I don't believe it was for anything Vietnam related. I think theirs was just like a pure OD green. But this stuff is water resistant, and it has these very cool snaps that you could essentially, like, if let's say you had a buddy who had the same camo poncho, you guys could create a tent just to yourself, and it creates a very nice tent from what I saw. But you have to have two. I only have the one, and this is as much camo that I personally own. Everything else is very OD green or oh, what is this? It's not tan. There's a name for it.
Flat dark earth.
Is it dark earth?
I think so.
FDE, I think is the
flat dark earth.
Okay, so it is flat. Okay, duh. Yes. I don't know. At the time when I was researching a lot of the camos, I remembered this, and this is such a fantastic talking piece in and of itself. I wanted to bring this up during material and camping supplies last week, but we didn't get to it. You can actually see it on my desk ready to go, but we ran out of time. Looking into these ponchos, they're actually relatively cheap. They're like $30, and they work super well. They won't keep you warm, but they'll keep you from getting wet. And if you don't want to spend like ludicrous amounts of money for a tent, this could work for the meantime before, you know, you're gonna just drop your entire wallet on, you know, some North Face brand name
Gucci.
stuff.
I wouldn't buy anything North Face, to be honest.
Yeah, the only North Face I have is absolute garbage.
That's what I heard. Like, people buy it mostly just for like the Gucci look, or they layer themselves up with wool underneath their North Face. It's like, why are you wearing that?
White girls, buddy.
Right.
But
it's dumb.
The main point of camouflage is to obviously conceal yourself from whatever person you're, again, mission based, evading, tracking, whatever. A little bit into camouflage is you got a lot of skin. I mean, it's what humans are. Facial features are a big thing because, like we talked about a little bit last week, humans know humans' faces. Humans know human figures. So the best thing to do is camouflage paint for your face, your neck, stuff like that, because you want to flatten out all the distinct features of your face. So essentially, with all the darkness, as I get natural light, as I get this more lighting on my face, you can see all the definitive shadows on my face, and you essentially want to, from what I've read and seen other people talk about, is to flatten your face out. You want to get the shadows light and the more abrupt areas that are already light darker. So it flattens everything out along with your neck. I got this shadowing right here. I want to make this lighter and then make this darker. Along with that, you're also going to have to camouflage other things like your weapons. Not so much of like you need to go spray paint your weapon. Doesn't hurt though. Obviously, don't do certain things that are going to... Connor has a good example. It's going to obviously, again, be based on your terrain. If you're in a white area, you wouldn't want that. If you're in... You know, you wouldn't want a white one in a wooded area either. So you're going to want to conceal your weapon along with your person. A top layer should always be camouflage. Top, you know, your pants, a jacket, poncho, whatever you're having over you, the most top layer should be camouflage. Including your plate carrier and chest rig. That should, along that, be camouflaged as well because that's still part of you. you can get into ghillie suits if you're really, really, really trying to hide from whoever you are going for or evading and stuff like that. That is a topic for another time because ghillie suits are very time consuming to make, and it's not just a one thing fits all. It's gonna again be environmental and stuff like that.
It's very custom made.
It's very custom made to your body exactly. It's to the terrain exactly. You're not gonna be like, okay, I'm going out in the wilderness in the Pacific Northwest, so I'm gonna bring one ghillie suit. As you're walking through the brush and the terrain changes, you are going to be changing as well because you are becoming a bush essentially. To an extent, you don't want to overbush yourself. You don't want to be too bushy.
You don't want to be a 9/11 bush.
Yeah, essentially. Along with that, I'm gonna have to grab my firearm. We'll see how Twitch likes this. But there's a few things with firearms that stand out, other than...
Actually, I hate to interrupt, but this is slightly urgent.
Oh.
I just got a call from a family member discussing not a strategic missile strike, but possibly a test. I'm going to look this up right now, but from what I'm told, there was a very, very fast missile that either exploded or was seen flying over the Yukon from Moscow towards Japan and the U.S.
Breaking news.
Right,
Breaking news.
This just in.
So I'm gonna research this further, and I'm sorry for interrupting, but I wanted my absence to be known as important.
No, you're good. A thing with camouflage though, and with the weapons, your optics are going to catch light along with your eyeballs. That is going to be two things I'm going to touch on. Eyeballs, and again with flattening your face. Don't stare at people. If you're evading someone and you see them, do not stare at them. If you're tracking someone and you have eyes on them, do not look at them for too long. There's that test, and I want everyone to test it. You will feel someone looking at you. When you're driving, have your passenger, if you're the passenger, look at the person next to you, and they will look over at you at some point. If you're at the mall, just stand in an area nonchalantly and look at one person, and they will eventually look back at you, because we have this innate feeling of being watched. So, if you're, whatever your mission is, make sure you're not staring at a person, because evolution will kick in and you'll either blow your cover or, you'll get found. But with this, you can see when the light hits it, it shines and reflects. It is glass. Glass reflects. That's just a thing. There are covers for these. I can't remember what they're called. Jeremy might know. I think they're called flash concealments or something like that.
For what?
For optics, LPVOs, stuff like that.
Optic glint.
Yeah, optic glint.
Oh. Okay.
But
yeah. Sorry, go on.
no, I was just saying, if you don't have that for LPVOs, usually they come with protective caps. Throw that on real quick until you're ready to use. It takes 2 seconds to flip it off. I have a little RMR right here. You can get shields that cover it, or some of them come with caps. The caps are usually dog shit and usually fall off. Tape it on there. Who cares? Put your cap on, throw a thing of tape around your hand guard and shit. Keep it sucked down. If you have iron sights, you won't get that issue. Regular, micro ones and stuff like that, just singular red dot sights or holographics, they're going to also have a glint. Anything with glass is going to have glint. So just make sure that when you're doing that, you want to conceal that glint as much as possible. They also have covers. This isn't one of them. I thought it was, but it ended up not being. Sniper covers that as you're shooting, you will essentially drape this over it. You can this one you can't see through, but they have ones that you can see through, and this will cover over your head as you are shooting. Maybe Twitch's algorithm won't see me point at the camera on accident because that's covered. But yeah, kind of the main point of camouflage is not be seen and to take all distinct human features away from whoever is tracking you or whoever you're tracking.
Okay, just a quick update on the information I was imparted with. Where was it?
I see what you did there.
I see that. I see that. Ooh.
So, I tried finding the tweet myself, but there was a user by the name of Fifth at 5T8SU, capital S, that tweeted with a video, at least 4 RS-28 Star Mat ICBM spotted in Moscow headed to an unknown location. And then it gives out the specs for the warhead. Each has 13 warheads of 100 megaton nuclear blast, i.e. 1,300 megaton, enough to make all of France and Germany desolate.
Yeah, disappear essentially.
Right, just gone off the face of the earth.
They just hit the delete button.
Yeah, they just deleted the whole country.
I tried finding this tweet on their account, but I haven't found it yet, which is surprising because usually it's right there. Or maybe Twitter deleted it. Just keep that in mind for y'all.
You never know. An update on the actual missile that went over the Yukon. They are saying that happened 2 days ago. Was launched from the north and the ocean, and was intercepted from the west. So they're saying the most likely cause was that Russia launched the missile from a boat. Spacing what it's called right now. They launched it from a boat. A military base in Alaska watched it, and they launched a counterstrike and took it out midair. So they say that it was a big old missile coming from the north that was moving very slow, and that 2 missiles came from the west very fast.
Gotcha.
Just be clear on.
Can you send me a link to that, Nate?
Yeah.
The U.S. is a very hard place geographically to invade, and this is why. Unless we implode, unless we have Russians or whoever's trying to attack us from the inside, from the north or the south, so Mexico, Canada, unless we have people coming from there, it's very hard to get across those seas without someone noticing. We have a lot of Navy vessels and a lot of Raptors, F-22s, shit like that, stationed on our coasts. So shit's kind of sketch, but we do spend trillions of dollars a year on development for a U.S. military, and hopefully it withstands it. But again, that's part of us as the people. We the people is, if it comes down to it and we do get invaded, it's Red Dawn all day long. 480 million rifles or firearms are sold in America, or owned in America, which is more than how many people are in America. So just remember that. Someone will hand you a gun and tell you to go shoot someone. I'm not saying do that until that happens. I'm just saying Russia can catch the smoke all day long.
Those are some pretty nice fighting words.
Right? Someone will raise their fucking children. Hopefully,
Also, very important to disclose in good faith on this news. We're not finding it. I'm not finding this article on any major websites. Looks like it's all coming from really one guy. It sounded like a one-person statement out of the Yukon. So the U.S. hasn't confirmed, Russia hasn't confirmed. It's just one guy saying that it happened. So obviously, we don't know how real or true this is.
yeah, he might be a nut job conspiracy theory, but we all know how conspiracy theories have been acting up lately.
Right.
It's a few things that are adding up now all of a sudden. From there, we're going to go into plate carriers, plates themselves, and chest rigs. I'm going to have Jeremy start us off. Before that, we do recommend, if you can afford it, to go, don't cheap out on a plate carrier and don't cheap out on plates, whether that be steel, ceramic, PEs, whatever. We'll get more into that. But do not cheap out. The main purpose of it is to stop holes in your body and protect your vital organs. You can patch up your arm, you can patch up your leg, you can stop bleeding from your torso down. You can't stop bleeding out of your chest very well, and a lot of other issues that we'll talk about later on with medical. But yeah, we'll pass it on to Jeremy for plate carriers.
So, this is my plate carrier. I know it looks kind of messy. I did spray paint it for reasons. It's kind of heavy when you hold it like that. So, the normal things you'd want on a plate carrier is, obviously the first step is fucking plates. You don't want to just wear this and not have plates in it, because that would be terrible. That'd be a very terrible and very, like, that'd just be a very bad idea. So get a plate carrier, and then that's where you're gonna start off. Usually a slick plate carrier like this will hopefully come with a cummerbund. This is the T-Rex armed AC-1. Mine is equipped with a dangler, because this is where I keep all my medical that I have for now. I still need to get a knife back. I have 2 pistol mags, 3 rifle mags, which hopefully I will be adding up here soon. I have, catching my mic. Anyway.
If you need more mags, I got plenty. I'll trade you for some 308 mags.
I don't have any 308 mags. I wish I had some.
Fucking order some 20 rounders, and I'll trade you.
I'm a very skinny guy, so I put foam in the arm pads here. This is, I already said before, this is a Disco, either Disco 32 or 23. I believe it's Disco 32 PCT. This goes with my Peltors. That little hole will accept that adapter on the back counterweight, and I will run the down lead to that hole, and I can press this when my radio is on and communicate with my friends, maybe even send them hugs and kisses. Oh, I have morale patches. I even have my name. By the way, identification is key, because if I run around with this and with no markings of who I am or what I do, the odds of me getting shot by everybody is quite high. If I have a large American flag on the back, that'll let people know that, hey, this guy, we don't really know him, but he has an American flag, so we're gonna keep our eye on him and not shoot him on the spot, as long as he's not like doing something crazy, pointing his gun at everybody, like keeping a little bit of a level head. I still need to get the American flag patch, but for now I have just a few morale patches. Later on, you are going to need a radio for communication, and hopefully a backpack setup. Mine does not have a backpack adapter. I am thinking about getting the Whiskey Tango Foxtrot back panel, so you can actually attach a, I believe they call it a mini map, and this is where you can keep all your accoutrements for your friends. You're not going to be able to reach this. This is mostly like a panel for your friends to deal with, like throwing an extra mag, maybe having some food, a camel pack, things like that. What else is there? Plate is a big topic. for me, I run Hesco L210 in mine. Oh, I was thinking about pulling them out, but I think I don't want to at this point.
That is fine.
They are ceramic, and those are very situational. For me, they work because at the time I bought them, it was around the Biden election, and I wanted something now when most plates and plate carriers were actually on back order. Most people weren't getting their AR 500 plates till like, I think almost like 13 months after the election, because the economy had slowed down that much and COVID and all the other things.
And Biden trying to make it so Biden said that people should not have body armor.
Right. These, for me, work for now. I mean, they only have a half-life of 8 years, which is how long I'm going to need them for. Past that point, I think I'm either going to switch to plates, or hopefully by then, either the economy is good, or I'm well stocked up on some resources from loot drops that I have my own more ceramic plates that'll last me a little bit longer than the average show.
Loot drops? The fuck is this, PUBG?
It might be Fortnite up in there, you know?
We're all building shit.
Hey,
T-Rex arms, they're AC1.
catch me at Tilted Towers.
Their AC1s are pretty dope. That being said, with the AC1s, they are minimalistic. That's their whole design, from what T-Rex arms talks about. And I believe they only take ceramic plates. And they only take... I have the chart up right here, which is E-Sappy and Sappy cut. The medium, which is what most people are going to be, is medium. I'll brief into how you size it up on yourself in a minute. A medium, which I believe is a 9.5 by 12.5, with a max thickness of 1.1 inch. So thickness is something we'll go over a little bit later with different types of plates that you can acquire. Right now, I have just a basic, pretty small. This is also a minimalistic. I don't have mine built out yet. I have 3 mags that I carry. This is kind of one I carry in my truck. This isn't one that I would take on actual missions, just more of one that, there's a threat, I need to get this on me real quick. So that being said, I do run steels for right now. In the back I have a steel with Kevlar. In the front I'm going to run the same thing, steel in the back, Kevlar in the front, facing towards the front of me. We'll talk about that a little bit later with other myths and stuff like that. This one does have the quick release styling, so you can get it on and off pretty easily on both sides, along with having side pouches for mags and comms. This one's a little bit too big for me for the cummerbund, which is going to be a huge thing to talk about, is cummerbunds. That is essentially how it's going to stick to your body. So if you have one that is too big, it's not going to get it tight enough to your body, which is very important, because you don't want this thing moving around when you're trying to go through the woods. You don't want it urban areas, stuff like that. Sizing these up, most people are a medium. Obviously, it's going to differ. I'd probably say even Nate, being bigger build than me, and Jeremy, he would probably be a medium as well.
He just politely called me fat for all you guys watching.
A little bit. I also have a sizing chart from T-Rex Arms for their AC1s. Their AC1s for small is a minimum of 30 inches around your chest. And that is going to be, see if I can wrap this up. That is going to be right where your boob starts, essentially. It's going to be right where your pec starts, or boob if you're a female. And that's going to wrap all the way around
Your undercarriage.
your undercarriage area. So minimum of 30, maximum of 56 inches around. Medium is going to be 32 inches for minimum, all the way up to 58 inches. So you can see a little, 2 inches on each. For a large, it's going to be 34 inches and then 60 inches. So 2 extra inches per size.
Welcome back, Dragon.
2 inches is a lot of, if you really think about it.
Shut the fuck up. So
Yeah, I think 2 inches is pretty big.
This is why we can't do anything.
Shut
up!
God! So sizing these up, where you want your plate carrier to sit on you, you're going to, since I am skinny, I can do this. Right where this V is on you, you can feel it. That is where you want the top of your plate to sit. I can't remember which vertebrae it is, but you essentially want them to be even on your back. I believe it is the second set of vertebrae, so 7 and then 12. So it's going to be the second on the 12 of the vertebrae, which I believe are the J's. Anyways, it needs to be a little bit higher up on your back. Essentially about right there. So you're getting that vertebrae right there. A little hard.
Dragon said that is average.
2 inches? Yeah.
That's an average size.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Bricked up gang.
God.
I hate you both.
So from there, we're going to move on to... so there's minimalistic, kind of like Jeremy's and mine. Mine's pretty minimalistic. They have other ones that are pretty built out from...
I can toss mine on real quick. Mine's more not minimalistic.
Yours is pretty minimalistic, besides having the molly on the sides. But like Haley Strategic, Cry, JCPs, 1.0s, 2.0s, those are more in the category of heavy built. Technically, mine's more of a heavy built one because it does have the buckles up top, and his are more Velcro for that lightweight, slick material. I will say with the strap or the buckles, if you can convert or get a plate that has Cobra buckles, which is what most. Here, let me grab my war belt real quick. So these are Cobra buckles. You've probably seen them. They click in, full metal buckles, nice and tight. You push in to release it. These buckles can withstand a lot of weight. These ones are plastic, just like a backpack buckle. They might break after a long periods of use. That's a possibility. So if you can, I'd upgrade to Cobra buckles.
Cobra.
Yeah. Along with that, you should have a war belt, which is this, which will also be part of your loadout. You don't have to. It will take a little load off of your chest rig, so you don't have to carry as many mags, your radio all on your chest rig. You can get this. It also carries your sidearm, some spare mags for your sidearm. You can carry other stuff, more magazines. You can carry medical kits on here, tourniquet holders, all that stuff. Kind of like your chest rig can. From going from there, we're gonna go into a little bit of chest rigs with Connor and Nate.
Oh.
Or we can let
Jeremy.
and Jeremy.
So the neat thing about slick plate carriers is that it usually comes with a more minimalist. There's a name for this. It's not a cummerbund. It is a
Admin pouch? Or no.
kind of. There's a name for it. This is supposed to be a Spirited Systems knockoff, which Spirited Systems make wonderful attachments. They usually attach via the buckles on the front of normal plate carriers, like the Pharaoh, the AC-1, or the Spiritus. They have these buckles that you can attach to. But if you are hiking, you got all this gear, you don't want to wear your plate carrier because your plate carrier already on the heavier side of things, you're weighing like 25 pounds, including like your rifle, your pistol. Like, you don't want to just be carrying your plate. You might want to throw like your plate carrier in a bag if you're out in the woods and you're you're just trying to get where you need to go, having a test rig that'll basically have maybe 10 pounds, if you really load it out, 10 pounds on your chest. This is probably like around 4 pounds, because this is not really like built out. This is just magazines mostly, and what else is in here? A multi-tool and a few knives, just to, I don't know, kind of
Tourniquet.
make sure that you're a little bit prepared. But it has these loops, and what you do is that you take the buckles that are similar to my plate carrier, and you wrap them, you place them. Wait, I think I have one here as an example. You take this, and you loop it through, and you will have these buckle-like systems wrap around. I have an H harness somewhere in my setup, but I haven't pulled it out in a long time. This goes with a chest rig setup. This is for more clandestine reasons of mine, because obviously having this on you it makes you a bit bulky. You got to have a lot more, whereas if you just have this on your chest,
It's gonna, yeah.
it's simple. You kind of got everything you need right on you. T-Rex Arms has a chest rig set up. Theirs is more like a Chi-Com pattern, though. But it really negates all of the heavy weight that you would normally have in a combative situation. This is more of like touch and go, like there's a bad guy, eliminate him, run the other way. Whereas if I have a plate carrier, I'm going to go almost like in a Tarkov situation, check out, make sure after I eliminate the threat what is going on, whether that be a bobcat, I can actually stand there, and maybe if somebody shoots at me, I'm a little bit more well protected. Because if I just have this is go, go, go. If I'm having this, that's like more there for more applicable things that I will not say in a more bug out scenario. Anyway,
I was about
I'm
to say, I think that's a good option, but it is most definitely a minimalistic setup.
Yeah.
You really do have to look at it. You have 3 spare mags there, plus the mag in the firearm, plus a round in the chamber. You're at 121 rounds. That's all you got.
It's not much.
That's not a whole lot of rounds, but if we're going for a minimalistic setup where we're looking to save weight, let's say you live in a very remote area where your chances of running into people are already slim, and now you're bouncing into the woods, that might be the way to go. You're going to save a ton of weight. You don't really have to worry about a lot of threats. That might be the way to go. I know in the Pacific Northwest, there's a lot of goddamn people. I'm not going out with 121 rounds. You've lost your goddamn mind. So I think it really breaks down to how you want it to go. I think my personal pick for a chest rig is going to be a Voodoo Tactical one. The reason being is it is on the bulkier side. You're going to add weight with the plate carrier and the chest rig on top of it. You are probably looking at a 35 pound setup. But the Voodoo Tactical holds 7 magazines for rifles and 4 magazines for pistols. And then if you're running a duty belt, like what Saban was showing, you now have the potential to hold another 2-3 magazines for your sidearm. So now your round count is significantly more and better. It's a very cost-effective way to do it. It is $67.95 for the plate carrier. My really go-to for these, this isn't the first time we'll debate it, and it probably won't be the last. I'm a very big ceramic guy. I like the lightweightness of a ceramic. I like ceramic plates. However, I can also understand where AR500 plates will come into play and how those could be a way better plate. The benefit of running a Voodoo Tactical is on your front. It has the ability to hold a 12 by 9 inch plate as well. So you can run a ceramic plate in the top and then an AR500 in your plate carrier. Double the plate. And running a ceramic, you're saving weight there. So to me, it's all the way worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, basically, big like difference for me is like between plate carrier and chest rig. Are you doing more recon or are you doing down and dirty business? If you're just doing recon, I would go with the chest rig because I really don't want to be carrying plates around for miles and miles. Like the range me and Sabe went to was what, a quarter mile from the road, and I brought my plates with me. That shit fucking sucked. Plus all
I
the
think
ammunition and the guns we were carrying.
I think that's also eventually where you save up and you get multiple setups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The chest rig that I'm looking at is called a Vismix. You can get it in black, coyote brown, black camo, and I'm probably gonna do the multicam just because of our environment. I think it retails for $67. Comes with, let me look it up real quick. 4 mag pouches and 4 smaller pouches and a tourniquet pouch. Let's see. Plus molly hooks, hook loops, and a waist belt.
Yeah, and the same thing with plate carriers and chest rigs. Don't cheap out. I mean,
Yeah.
you're gonna spend $200. I mean, close to $200. I'll say that, close to $200. And go to reputable companies. Optic Planet, fucking Brownells. You can get away with Amazon sometimes. Don't get Condor stuff. Don't get stuff made for airsoft. It's not going to stand having, if you're running ceramics, if you're running steels, it's not going to withstand that weight for 8 hours. It's not going to be comfortable. They aren't made for comfort. They're made to wear with a piece of plastic in it while you're playing airsoft. You want something that has good straps, comfortable straps, has good breathable back pieces, front pieces. Cummerbund, like I was talking about, are a huge deal because that is how it fastens to your body. If you have a shitty cummerbund, it's not going to feel good. It's not going to feel right. It's going to move around on you. It's going to, jig sideways, left and right, all that stuff. So just make sure you're looking at some good. And I saw the Voodoo one Nate was talking about, and that's a decent setup. I mean, you got 5 rifle mags. You got pouches in the front. You can set it up however you want. You got pouches for maps. You got pouches for navigation, for water, stuff like that. You can always get, like, this came in a battle box that Connor gave me, and it's a waterproof. It's not going to be super waterproof, but it's going to get the job done. I mean, this thing is actually probably pretty waterproof, but a waterproof dump pouch, or just a dump pouch in general that you can keep stuff in, your phone, whatever, your Garmin. If you don't have a designated spot, at least you have stuff to put it in. On that, Nate was talking about ceramics. Ceramics are very light, up to anywhere from a few ounces to 2 pounds difference from steel plates. Ceramics not only are lighter, they also do provide protection from sprawling, which is essentially shrapnel from the plate. They have protection from that. They are a little bit thicker, though. That's a little bit of a downside with ceramics, that they can impede on movement in the front region because they are going to be a little bit thicker than steel plates. You can negate that a little bit with swimmer cut, which is going to be a cut that comes a little bit more narrow in, so you have more movement with your pec and all that. But with steel plates, they last longer. And if I'm thinking in terms of, like, again, if we're not going to be able to buy shit ever again, I would want to go with steel plates. Because there's tests out there that kind of disproves the myth of sprawling excessively. Again, if you have a weaker bullet, which is a lead projectile with a copper casing, hitting steel, both of those are weaker. It's going to lose because of steel being so strong. They do have coatings. They have finishing coatings on, like, Spartan. Spartan makes ceramic PEs. That is just a base coat. So that will not protect you from shrapnel. It won't protect you from shrapnel. they do have new coatings specially designed for containing that shrapnel. Also, there's been tests done with duct tape, which you should have in your gear. Duct tape fixes everything. That you can essentially, if you took 7 shots, with most likely we're not going to take 7 shots, and whoever's shooting at you hits in the same spot but didn't decide to go for your head's a fucking idiot. Just saying. If you hit the same spot 7 times and then didn't think maybe I should hit a little bit higher up, steel plates are going to last longer than ceramics, and ceramics have to be thrown away after being hit. You technically shouldn't use steels after they've been compromised with, being hit a few times. But steel, it's not crumpling, it's not breaking like ceramic. But again, it's going to be situation based. I mean, do you want to take that 10-mile trek with steels? You might not.
But I think it's more than that as well. Great. You froze up, my guy.
Froze up? Oh, save.
Oh, there we go. Sabian's back. I think it's more than that. I think you really hit it on the head there. Steel, we're always talking about sprawling, the shrapnel hitting you. Steel gets a bad rap for it. But that's because every time we're testing steel, we're putting 10, 15, 20 rounds on a plate. And if you get hit 10 times on one plate, you need to get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
You are losing. It is time to admit that you're losing and bounce the fuck out.
Your flight should kick in after you've been hit a few times. You're like, okay, this starts to hurt my ribs. I should leave.
Right. And with a lower velocity round, you don't really have to worry about sprawling a whole lot. Obviously, if they're catching corners of the plates, any round can cause a sprawl there, especially if we're catching corners of a plate. That's just something you have to be aware of. Ceramic, as much as people want to say that you can't sprawl a ceramic plate, you catch a corner of a ceramic plate and it will sprawl.
Mm-hmm.
That's the risk you run.
Like that.
No, I mean, it's true.
We agree. I mean, it is what it is. The odds are slimmer, yes, but
because you got to think of
still
surface
run
area,
the
but
chance.
it's right.
But
I think that's where the chest rig and the plate carrier come into play. You have your plate carrier, you have steel plates in there. That plate carrier is meant to be worn if shit's about to get real.
Yeah.
Then you have a chest rig to where, let's say, you have to go recon somewhere. You don't need all that extra weight. You already have your base camp. You leave your plate carrier there, throw on your chest rig. You got all the shit you need, and you're good to bounce.
Yeah, have both. Another thing that might get people is the price tag. I mean, ceramic plates are very, very expensive compared to steels. You can get a good steel with a good base plate, which is level 3+, 3A plus. So that's going to withstand your 7.62 by 39 ball M80 ball. That will run you maybe $130 for one plate. So if you get a pair, about 300. Ceramics.
The caddy plates that I got for A plus, I think it came like 2 for 100 and like less than 180.
But your coating also isn't what we're looking for either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the coating. I mean, you could do that and then use the duct tape method. Or another thing I've been thinking of with the whole sprawling, Kevlar is really cheap, right? I mean, it's really, really cheap to get Kevlar. You can get 5 sheets of it for $30. Get some Kevlar, throw it in the front, and then that'll negate small ammo, because 5 sheets of Kevlar will stop 9mm. And then I'm not gonna promise anything. I will not promise that. Go test it yourself. If you want, buy the Kevlar and test it yourself. But I'm saying usually 5 sheets of Kevlar will stop it, depending on the thickness of the Kevlar. That being said,
and do your research. I can't think of the brand right now, but there is a company that's making a brand new plate that I want to say it's Kevlar, steel, and polyurethane is what the plate's made out of. And the whole reason is the polyurethane, along with the Kevlar, helps tremendously with the sprawl of a steel plate and also reduces weight.
Yep. I can't remember the brand either. I was looking that up too. I know Spartan Armor. They make both ceramic and steel, and they have done special coating that prevents sprawling. They've tested it. It takes about 7 to 8 rounds. By that time, ceramic would be useless. Technically, again, I'd still rather have anything in front of me besides having projectiles in me. But that's always, there's companies out there that are trying to get past that whole mishap. Never, ever shoot steel plates. Never, ever wear steel plates that do not have a coating of some sort. Duct tape, anything like that. Pure raw metal is going to sprawl when hit with any type of ammunition. Any. 45
That is
ACP,
very important to know.
45 ACP, 9mm, 22 LR. Anything like that, it is a jacketed projectile hitting, a soft jacketed projectile hitting steel. It is going to lose and is going to go somewhere. The energy is not going to...
Right, it's basic energy dispersion.
Yeah.
Right, it's going to go everywhere across the face of your plate, including your neck and feet.
Yeah.
When you look at videos of steel plates getting shot, you'll notice that most of the time the bigger rounds, they bury a hole, and it makes a big old bulge. There's a big old entry, and then there's usually a bulge on the backside. Those plates have a coating, so it's holding everything together. No coating on that plate means that everything that's bulging with a huge entry wound, all of that metal's got to go somewhere. Yeah. It's all got to go somewhere. So, do you really want to go super cheap, say, I bought 2 plates for $75, and the first time you get shot, you take a piece of metal to the neck?
Yeah. I mean, regardless, I'd rather take shrapnel to the neck and to the jaw than take a projectile through me in the heart. But at the same time, you want to negate as much harm to yourself as possible because, again, like we were talking about, those wounds will add up later on with infections, stuff like that.
Also, another thing to keep in mind is that surface area. How much of your body doesn't have armor?
Yeah.
You're most likely going to get shot either in the head, the leg, the arm.
Yeah.
Like those areas are obviously unprotected, and sure, you could be tanked up to the nines and be protected, but you're not going to be able to move.
Yeah.
So when we talk about like you catching a bullet in the chest, that's if you're very lucky. That's if you're very, very lucky. Most people just get shot in the legs or like the arms and the sides of your chest when,
That's why I recommend a plate carrier with side protection. But it's still a possibility. Anytime, especially with plate carriers, the plates don't just all connect. It's not one big cylinder tube that drops over your torso.
Right, you're
There's
not built
gaps
out like
between the middle, and every once in a while, a round will find its way perfectly through that gap and hit you. The whole point, though, is the chance of protection. The plate is really to cover your vitals. You have a lot of vitals right in this area that if you get shot, you'll die.
Yeah, you're going to die.
You can get shot in the thigh and still live. If you get shot right here, you're going to die.
Yep.
So,
and we'll talk about that a little bit more with medical and why you will die if you get shot anywhere up in this region and not so much your stomach. There's statistics out there that most people that get shot in the stomach end up surviving. That's because you got 25 feet of lower and upper intestine.
You got built-in armor.
Yeah, essentially. But we'll get a little bit more into that with medical. But yeah, you just want to negate as much as plus you can't, you can plug these holes, but these holes are going to continue to bleed because of how close they are to the main thing that pumps blood, Yeah. Your head's an off switch most of the time. Most of the time, there has been few cases of people getting shot in the head and the face where they survive with little injury, little brain injury, little anything.
Yeah, but that usually is like they're medevaced, they're...
Yeah. Very lucky scenarios usually too, like the bullet enters the cranium and then somehow travels up the skull.
Over.
Yeah, somehow misses the brain completely, but yeah.
And then this is also, I mean, you should be working as a team, at least with one other person.
Yeah.
Something happens to you, you want that team aspect.
Which
Always
reminds
travel with a battle boo.
Yeah, which reminds me, we did miss a point with communications. There is a thing that the military used called ATAC. So that's Android.
It's a cup and a string.
Yeah, it's a cup and a string. There's hello.
If you buy an Android, that's pretty much what it is. So
ATAC is a very wonderful thing.
So
Anyway, sorry.
Android Tactical Assault Kit is, they have a civilian version now. That's called not tactical assault because we can't say that for civilians. But that being said, it is great because it allows you to see all topical maps. Unfortunately, it does require being online. So that's what we're talking about with infrastructure. As long as infrastructure is still up and untouched, you can. Everyone who has an Android device, which we just go online and buy a $50 used Android phone. Anyone that has that device, you can set up rally points all on your phone. So say, hey, I'm going to this state, you're going to this state, meet back up at this state at this exact spot, and everyone can see the exact thing on their phone. Along with being able to GPS track that person to see exactly where they are on the map. So I could see what exact street, mountaintop, whatever the fuck that other person in my platoon or squad is at. So that's the nice part about ATAC. They did have it with iOS, but it unfortunately got taken down because China, they don't like civilian, U.S. civilians being that equipped with stuff. So iOS said no bueno to it and took it off. So if you can, recommend an iPad, or not an iPad, a Android tablet. Just buy one for 50, 60, 110 bucks, whatever. Download the iFAQ, and you have all your shit right there, topical maps, stuff like that. But we know Nate might not do that because he likes his bougie iPhone.
I'm all about whatever saves my life at the end of the day.
Isn't it going to be an iPhone that'll you'll drop and it fucking disintegrates?
Well, that's not really how that works, but I mean, to each their own.
Your phone is just like talking to you, Nate. I don't feel so good. You drop it and it just turns to dust.
Right. I mean, it is what it is. The tough part,
Mr. Smith.
There's a huge, and there always has been, there always will be a huge Apple versus Android. I have nothing against Android phones. I think they're perfectly good. I like the protection I get with my text messaging and phone calls through iOS. The fact that Apple doesn't just release my shit right away to the government because they ask for it.
Yes, they do.
Apple is really good about saying no.
No, they're not. They fucking...
Okay,
What?
we're stopping that shit right
yeah.
now.
No, they do not.
This is a
No.
talk for a different time.
No.
No, this is not.
You just got called out. He owns an iPhone. He's disagreeing.
I do.
No, he owns an iPhone. Jeremy does.
Oh.
I do. Dude, they sell your information to whoever. They don't even have to ask. They literally just give away information.
It's
to the
in your
fucking
terms and conditions. It's in everybody's terms and conditions.
Oh, I might be wrong there.
I'll sell your fucking info to ISIS if it made them $1.
That being said, we will go on to this part: is iPhones, Androids, whatever the fuck. A cell phone, like we all have, smartphone. They are tracking devices. If someone wants to find you, they will find you through that thing, regardless. That is why having independent communication devices, such as radios, and such as GPSs that are standalones, or satellite phones, are very good to have, because yes, you can have your phone that has everything you need on it, offline maps, all that shit. But if someone wants to find you, they don't even have to ask. If the U.S. government wants to find you, they don't have to ask. If another country, Russia, wants to find you, the U.S. probably sold their shit already. I mean, it's just someone is going to find you through your iPhone. Don't rely on your phones or your Android. Don't rely on your phones. They do have good applications. But if the bug out becomes I need to evade someone, don't turn it off.
Throw
that
your
point, I'm
phone as
shooting my
far as
phone.
you can throw it.
Shoot it, throw it in a river.
Something.
I'm not
Step on it.
There's also the alternative where you could get a Faraday cage.
Yeah.
Those work very well. It's a copper weaved or just a copper box if you really want to. And it stops all incoming and outcoming signals and traps it just within your phone.
Save, the bag I gave you, the waterproof one you were showing, it actually does that.
Really?
It blocks, yeah. I think it said on the tag that it came with.
So I can find
that it was a Faraday cage. You can get waterproof.
It's supposed to block all, communication waves.
I mean, but at this point, that's more of a day-to-day use. At the point of a bug-out situation, you most likely either want to keep this in a Faraday cage at all times, unless absolutely need to, like
Last
you just made it to
scenario.
a city, and you want to call that one person who you've been thinking about the entire time, just to have peace of mind that you can't reach them, or that you finally reach them, and you're letting them know, hey, what's going on. That would be the perfect, I guess, time. But for the most part, these things are these things are callers. You don't want to take these anywhere with you.
Yeah.
All they have to do is ping your phone. Your phone could be dead, and they can turn it on.
You know that Find My iPhone, Find My Android phone thing that whoever your carrier is, Verizon, whatever, you go and be like, dude, I can't find my phone. Can you look it up? And they can just think, yeah, it's all over here. You don't think the government that spends trillions of dollars can't do that?
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
For free.
Yeah, for free. Or in 2 seconds. Yeah. You don't have to sit there while they're like, oh, what's your phone number? No, they'll just be like, yeah, I know this fucker. Bing, already had him.
There's a huge pack of coyotes just letting it go right now.
So from there, we're gonna roll into medical, kind of what you need to have on you in a basic stance or in a more necessity-based thing. Sabian's gonna go ahead and lead off this topic.
So, medical.
Take it back. It's a celebration. I think somebody just got married.
The minimalistic thing you need to have, the minimalistic, is a tourniquet. At least one.
Yes.
There is some debate kind of thing of oh, you have a tourniquet if someone gets shot, one of your friends gets shot. No, that's your spare tourniquet. Whatever tourniquet you have on you is you. All your medical gear is for you. That is going to depend on how many people you have in your squad and whose role is what. A medic is going to have more stuff, which is essentially going to consist of the same stuff as you'll have on you. But
just duplicates.
But duplicates for everyone in the squad and himself. But for you as an individual, you want a IFAK. Essentially an IFAK. If you go on to rescueessentials.com, not sponsored, obviously. We're not sponsored by anyone. They have really good IFAK for a pretty good price. IFAK is something you do not cheap out on. At all. I know we say that a lot, but medical is the one thing you absolutely 100% should spend $1,000 if that's what it costs to get. You do not shave a dime off of medical because medical is going to save your life. You can have plates that cost $100. That is a possibility to save your life. This will save your life if it happens. So minimal of having a tourniquet. The best ones that I know of is a cat tourniquet. Super easy, whips out. One free hand, oh shit, I gotta get it on there and get it nice and tight. Tourniquets, high and tight, always. We'll start out with that. Tourniquets are high and tight. That's going to be on your arm as high as you can go. This one, I put it as high as I could get it, and it wanted to slip down into my crease of my bicep right here. So that's where it's going to sit. That's as high as I can get it up there. It's going to find its own way as I tighten it down. High.
Even if this means it's on the wound, like high, as high as you want it.
As high as you want it, because you want it to be as tight as possible. So you're going to get it. You're going to crank that sucker down. I'll leave it on for a few seconds as we talk.
Just to kill his arm.
Yeah, just to kill my arm a little bit. You want it as high and as tight as you can get it. Tourniquets are going to hurt. That's the point. The point is to stop the blood flow. You're going to be like, oh, that fucking hurts, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
We can already see her vein just bulging out of
That's
your
the
arm,
point.
saying, fucking kill me.
So this fucking hurts, right? I can barely move my arm, but there's no blood flow going in there. I know, my hands are already cold. Right here on my hands, they're already cold. High and tight. Now I have to figure out how to get this off.
Easy. Just...
Oh, God. But with an IFAC, you're going to also get chest compression wound. What are they called? They're called chest wound pads. They are going to, if you get a hole in your chest, that is going to plug that hole up after you get your other hemostatic agents in there to stop the bleeding as much as possible. They will not stick to hair. They will not stick to blood. Clean the surface off as much as you can. If you can't do that yourself, obviously the medic designed in your group is going to do that. But those chest seals are going to prevent air from getting sucked back into your body as you're breathing. And that will, because air getting into your lung pocket is going to eventually collapse your lung. So you really want to make sure that that gets sealed as quickly as possible, both the entrance wound and the exit wound, wherever that comes out of. Along with that, on your IFAC, you're going to have hemostatic gauze, which is impregnated gauzes that clots the blood. Usually the best brand is going to be Quick Clot. It's impregnated, so as that gauze hits the blood, it starts to clot the blood instantly. Usually works within 2 to 3 minutes. That is for Quick Clot. There are other ones that take a little longer. Obviously, you want it to stop as fast as possible because 2 minutes, 2 extra minutes could end up being your life. So that being said, you will want to get name brand hemostatic gauze. Along with this, we do recommend going out and paying for a course to go through. They will teach you how to... Everyone in your group should know how to do this stuff. Your medic should know more, but everyone should know how to do the basics of how to properly pack wounds, how to properly dress wounds, how to properly use a tourniquet, how to prevent further incidences, like if you get shot in the leg, bone is very sharp. It's kind of like glass. It's once it fragments and once it's poking out of the skin, it is very, very sharp. And usually what runs along bones is going to be arteries. And arteries are the one thing we don't want to continue to bleed because that's our main supply of blood. So you have your major artery that runs underneath your arm, which is why high and tight on your arms, and then one down your leg. I won't show the leg one right now, but on that, you should also bring, I would say minimal. IFACs aren't that expensive. They're anywhere from $130 to like $200 for a good IFAC case that you can mount onto your backpack, put in your backpack, this, that, the other. Get 2 of them. One for you, one for you again if you possibly need it, and then one for your buddies. Because, yes, the first one's going to be for me, but you also want to try to save your buddies as much as possible. Having more people usually works better.
Also, having a designated medic amongst your team if you are going out with a team. In a bug out situation, you're not really with a team. You're going to see if you can collect your team on the way out. But if you do have a designated medic, usually they'll have more IFACs
training.
or, yes, medical material along with training to assess certain situations. The problem with being a designated medic in a bug out situation is that ideally there are no hospitals. So one reality people forget is like there's no helicopters, there's no EMTs, unless there happens to be an EMT right at the site of accident that you're in a major bug out situation. At that point, trust EMTs, I guess. But for the most part, there is going to be no medical support. There is going to be no prescription drugs to ease the pain unless your friend has that kind of material on him. So,
Which brings me to the point. We do not condone it, but if there is a way that you can somehow get your hands on anything that helps relieve pain, as a medic, if you are the medic of the group, it never hurts to have it.
Not just pain meds. Pain meds are good. Antibiotics
Right.
are a major thing to have.
you want to be the human walking pharmacy.
It's that not only that, but have a whole bunch for yourself and your team in general, mostly for yourself, because you might end up getting a stomach bug that needs, or an infection that needs to be cleared up, and having saving those medications right now. Say if you got sick and you got medication for your sickness, you can withstand not taking them right now because we're in a comfortable environment right now that we don't have to worry. But if you have that stuff later on when you are worrying, you're not going to worry as much.
And this is the importance of running a team. Let's say you have a team of 3. You're really going to have a medic guy. His pouches are going to be all full of the medical supplies. That's his job throughout it all, is to hold everything medical and to treat his team as needed. You usually have a recon scout guy. He knows the maps, has all of that stuff, has done extensive research on the terrain, all of that. And then you have a guy whose pouch is literally just full of ammunition. That's all it is.
That'll probably be me.
And that's usually how it is. I mean, that's how a team breaks down. You have one guy that holds this stuff, another guy that holds the next stuff. That way, everybody has a supply of something and can share it as needed. If you don't have a guy that has a pouch full of 20 magazines and you need extra magazines, now you're in a shit show because now you're out. Whereas if you get shot twice and your medic doesn't have 2 tourniquets, we can be in a whole different ballgame. This is the whole point of that kind of team aspect behind it.
And that's the whole point. Sorry, Jeremy. That's the whole point of you carrying your own tourniquet. Your medic will have tourniquets, 2 per person usually. But if you all have 2 per person, now you're double booked and you're good. What if you get shot in the arm and the leg? Bam, both your tourniquets are gone. And he has 2 more for you just in case that he can use on the next guy, or he can use on you if you get shot in the leg again.
Usually, if you are the designated medic in your team, you'd have all kinds of assortments like antibiotic, an assortment of medical supplies that we've already went through. But something that we haven't talked about and just came to mind was this. These are potassium iodide tablets. I just was in a conversation today with a bunch of family and friends about radiation prevention. This will saturate your thyroid and keep you essentially from getting thyroid cancer from any nuclear radiation, whether that be air, water, doesn't matter. It usually keeps your thyroid from. It apparently has a very good success rate, but you have to take it
Exposure.
pre-exposure. You hear it on the news, you take it. That type of thing. There is a way to take these wrong, and you can hurt yourself. From what I've been told, I need to do more research on it. This is from the company IOSat, and I looked this up on Amazon. They don't sell these on Amazon anymore. That was like their main distributor. And these things were cheap. These things were like $15 for a box. Now it's kind of expensive. This alone is $15 for 14 tablets. So take that what will. This is 130 milligrams. So do your research in case of a radioactive scenario, whether it be a reactor. This isn't going to keep you from getting, cancer if there's like nuclear bombs going off left and right. This is just for a one and done, happens in your area, you have to get out kind of a scenario.
Which, most likely, if we end up having a time where the infrastructure of the U.S. is going down, it most likely will be nuclear, which involves radiation. And with radiation, you should have those tablets. They also have specific cleaning pads. They're not baby wipes, but they're kind of like baby wipes where you can wipe your body down. Because contaminants from radioactive particles will stick to your skin, and that will cause illness as well. So you do want to get those. I will have to. I'll bring it up next podcast and find out exactly what the name brand is. But it is to wipe down to get rid of all that radioactive material if you don't have a suit. You can't always use preventions of getting a full encased radioactive suit. I'm pretty sure you can find them anywhere, or not anywhere, but pretty easily. And then along with that, you do want a gas mask. This is an old one. I probably wouldn't use it. It looks pretty beat up. But there's tons of gas masks out there that will protect you from dangerous particles in the air. And they usually don't run that expensive. $100, $200 maybe. But most likely if the U.S. falls, it's going to be radioactive, nuclear based. So,
and it's just one of those things that you
Chemical
throw in the
warfare.
backpack and you have it there, just in
Right.
case you need it.
Like, if you're gonna build out your whole loadout surrounding radioactive stuff, there's a lot more you can go into. There's different ways and different scenarios that lead you to this bug out, but our suggestions are based around at the very least, this is what you're gonna want.
yeah.
One of those is being tablets. And that was it for me.
So yeah, pretty much a conclusion on medicals. Go and buy those IFAKs. That is the best thing. Decompression needles for built up pressure in your chest, chest seals, extra tourniquets, all that stuff. So from there, we're going to move on to rifles and what we have learned for essentially recce kind of bug out essential rifles. I'm going to pass it on to Nate for starting.
Yeah, so I think there's two different ways to look at it. The first way is to look at it is if it's just you. If you're the only person that's bugging out, you don't have a team with you, you're going to have to be a little bit more particular on it. I'm probably going to go something like 18 to a 21-inch barrel. Most likely chambered in 308 is probably what I would pick. It's a big, heavy round, travels a far distance. But I can still get magazines for them that are a decent length or a decent capacity, and they'll get the job done. What's up?
Morgan pointed out hero wipes. Firefighters and medics use them for decontamination.
Oh yeah, I see those.
Yeah, so those are pretty good. We use those pretty often for those firefighters and medics to kill those bacteria, cure those CO2, airborne pathogens, and airborne material that sits on the skin and clothing and stuff. Mostly only use them for exposed skin, so hands, face, anything like that. But back onto the rifle with Nate.
Yeah, and then if it's a team situation, you really have to talk with your team about what each person has. Obviously, you're going to want somebody who's chambered in a heavy round that can travel a far distance. You're probably going to want somebody to have something that holds a lot of rounds, who can pump a lot of rounds downrange if the needs be. And then you just kind of want an overall all-round guy. If I was working with a team, I'm probably going to go 8.6. We've talked about this before. I'm a really big fan of the new rifles that are coming chambered in 8.6. They make them in a supersonic or a subsonic round. You can carry multiple different magazines for multiple different engagements. I'm still probably running a 16 to an 18-inch barrel. I'm not going to go any shorter than 16. Probably 18 would be preferred in 8.6. Or like I said, a 308 with a 21-inch barrel. Those are going to be the two different firearms that I consider.
Very chunky gun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go no. Connor, you go
I mean,
ahead.
yeah, pretty much exactly what Nate described. Got my 308 18-inch barrel with a 5x25 by 56, I think it was. Yes, by 56. All right, go ahead, Jamie.
For me, I go for the more light approach. I just got this optic in today, and as funky as this gun looks, this is more of a night vision setup. Most people have stupid expensive risers and micro dots. This is kind of going away from that. So as far as like addressing the funkiness, this is good for having tube on tube action where I don't need to illuminate with any IR illuminator. This is an 11.5 barrel, chambered in 5.56. So this is good for, I guess, more reconnaissance if you run into something that just happened right in front of you. This would be an okay gun to run and gun with, I guess. I prefer something with a thicker barrel than what I got right now, but this is still kind of being built out. I'm still swapping parts out. Keep in mind, you're going to want to have a flashlight. Every single gun you have should have a flashlight of some sort. This is a Streamlight 8LX. And it's on the more expensive side, which kind of sucks for gun-mounted flashlights, but as it stands, something to work with, I guess.
Right. Sabian?
So, in general, for you guys as the viewers looking at rifles for these bug out situations, you want something that's going to be able to hit those longer shots. You're going to have to find a medium. Again, like Nate was saying, a factor that's going to play in is going to be the whole team. If you're doing it alone, if you're recon alone, or if you're going after someone alone, it's going to depend. 5.56, it's going to be a good round to an extent. Always. So along with the white light of every firearm, especially one in this situation having a white light, you always want to have a suppressor. That's just because those 30, 40 extra decibels that are taken away from the original decibels of 150, usually with 5.56, is going to be a significant difference in the mountains, because the mountains are going to have a lot of echo, shit like that. So the quieter you can get any firearm, the better. You're still going to hear a 22 echo through the mountains. It's just how it is. It's going to bounce off stuff. I wouldn't go with anything under 14.5. Not just personally, but from all of the videos I've watched, all the research I've done, most things ballistically cannot reach their potential under 14.5 inches for barrel length. That being said, if I'm going to be in a group situation, suppress 6.5 Creedmoor with probably a 1x8 by 24. That's so I can have that low power 1. I can still see and find a target. 5's a little too much for me, like with Connor's Vortex. 5's going to be zoomed in pretty far. He is going to be able to see a lot further than I am with that 5x25, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5x25 by 56.
Yeah, so he is going to be able to zoom in to up to 25 power, which is very, very far. I mean, probably a lot farther than any of us could shoot.
Yeah,
Good to
unless
have
our
it.
guns are pointed like arced up in the air like that.
Right, yeah. Plus, Coriolis effect and all that stuff that we need to brush up on, which we'll talk about later on in other videos. But nothing below 14.5. I can't find much information with the 8.6 blackout yet for range. For like the optimal range with barrel lengths that I would most likely want, either a 16 or an 18-inch barrel. I would run that because Nate has a good point of subsonic and supersonic. Subsonic for when I want to make those quiet shots, and supers for when I just want to get muzzle velocity downrange. So that would be a very good round to use in that case. If I'm not worrying about that, I would definitely do a 6.5 Creedmoor, especially with a team. Either an AR-10 or a bolt action. Bolt actions are a little bit more... Here's the thing. If you're a designated sniper, designated recon, I can hit my target, go, leave, get the fuck out of there. Bolt actions are more precise, typically. A lot less motion from receivers, stuff like that, barrels. But I would probably do a AR-10, which I'm currently building, and a 6.5 Creedmoor. 6.5 Creedmoor is going to get a little bit more push out there than a 308. Not much more. 308's a heavier bullet, though, so I'm going to have to personally account more for drop with that bullet than a 6.5 Creedmoor. So that's one thing I'm going to kind of think about. And also I'm going to think about if I miss a small target of a head, and I'm aiming for the chest, I want my 6.5 to go through that. 308 might not on certain body armors. 6.5 usually will because of how fast the round is compared. But again, always suppressed, always a white light. Probably LVP, or fuck, I had a stroke right there.
LPVO.
LPVO, thank you, Jeremy. A 1x8 by like 24, something like that, just so I can have that low power to that high power and be able to find my target and lock down on my target without having to really search around a whole bunch. But other than that, does anyone else have anything to add to a perfect, or not a perfect, but a very good recce? Ooh, I do. One thing we missed topically on the camouflage is going to be on a subject for rifles as well. Night vision. You want a night vision setup. Camouflage is going to tie in with 8 hours of nighttime because it's harder to see things at night. You want to be able to see at night compared to whoever else you're fighting. So night vision.
Yeah, you don't want to be walking around in the dark with a white light. or even a red light, because people can still see that.
A
You're
white
gonna want
light.
one of these.
A white light is going to be the target knows I'm there. I need to get rounds down at nighttime. Night vision is going to be I have the jump on people. So night vision is a very good thing to do. It's
Right.
very expensive.
It is probably going to be the most expensive part of your kit.
It is going to
And
be
gold.
anywhere from 1,700 to 20, 40 grand, depending. 40 grand is like military fucking quad nods.
Right. You're doing some real spec op shit
Yeah.
at that point.
At that point, you're probably funded by the military if you're doing that shit. But,
Or you're just really, really rich.
or that.
Which, if you're really rich, I don't need a $40,000 set, but if you just want to hook your boy up with like a $15,000 set, I'll take it.
15,000, dude, I'll settle for PVS 14, bro. 2
Yeah,
grand.
the whole setup isn't just the night vision unit. You're also going to want to look at helmets. Which helmets would work for you. Hearing protection. Some hearing protection doesn't work with some helmets. This one in particular takes Peltors because this is how I wanted to set it up. Yeah. But this is more of a specific topic for another time. You could deep dive into what works, what doesn't. In my, not experience, but as far as my opinion goes, if you want something to see in the dark, there are very, very cheap options that work just as well. Getting a PVS 7, which is the Cyclops, like SOCOM video game kind of look where it's just the one tube. Guys were running those in the 80s and the 90s and early 2000s, and they work. PVS 14s work too, but they're more of an expensive commodity, especially this unit. This is a white phosphor Gen 3. You're going to want, just as a bar none setup, just to shoot some threat in the dark, just to see in the dark. A Gen 2 PVS 7 works for the meantime. It's not going to be the best, and it's definitely dated, and there's lots of reasons why it's dated. There's lots of reasons why nobody uses them anymore, but that's the thing. You can get a PVS 7 setup for probably around 2 grand. 100 about 1,700 for the unit itself, which I don't know why they're that expensive, probably because people are starting to wise up.
Supply
And
demand.
with the helmet, say that again.
Supply and demand.
Yeah. You could go with your digital night vision like Psionic. They are just as good as Gen 2 night vision tube. And it comes in color. You gotta use a little bit of a IR light, which is a non-visible light, which is good. But if you're gonna be running into a threat that can easily see IR, that's something to keep in mind. If I waited long enough, I probably could have gotten a dual tube setup, but I think at that point I would have really been breaking the bank. This is a perfect middle ground. If I had to choose in a very desperate situation like we are in America right now, get a PVS 7, make sure that's rocking with the helmet, just make sure you got all your accoutrements, and that'll get you your first, funky, I don't know what you would call it, you'll be the one dealing the first strike under people who don't have night vision.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. It's not escalation of force. There's a name for it. It's a force multiplier. If you have night vision, they don't. You can see in the dark, and they lose. Easy.
Yeah. But with that, it plays in camouflage, night vision, see in the dark. Plus on top of night vision, thermal imaging. They have a lot of thermal bolt-ons or add-ons, whatever, to night vision that you can get nowadays thermal scopes themselves. You can't hide from thermal. You throw off a body signature. So along with camouflage, there's a great company called Fiber Tex. FIBORTEX. They make cloaks for vehicles, for personnel, all that will hide you. It will mitigate as much heat as possible, but it's better than not having it against thermal. And it is very easy and very cheap to get thermal stuff nowadays. Very, very easily. You can go on Amazon and buy thermal scopes all day long for very cheap.
Yeah, getting a FLIR setup with a PVS 14 is usually what people run nowadays. I haven't gotten the FLIR setup because it's still spendy, and I'm looking at other options. But thermal is definitely changing the game in terms of like night observation awareness.
Yeah. So yeah, I would also probably have a thermal backup scope for my Bugout so I can see at nighttime. Whether I need to see, the mission I'm going for or need to find food. That's going to help me find food. Does anyone else have anything that they would end up putting on their rifles?
I do not. I think we've hit it pretty much all on the head there.
Actually, I think I would like to add backup irons. If your optics ever break, get shot, anything, it's always good to have a set of backup irons.
I don't know about the irons. I don't know.
I just keep like another sight in your bag.
There's so much out there for so cheap. I mean, like, you can get 40-degree offset PEC rails or Picatinny rails that will mount your Micro 1 red dot, your SIG red dot riser, all those. I would just run those. I mean, mostly because it's going to be a little bit hard to pick up that iron under night vision. The SIG Romeo red dot that I have does have 2 night vision powers, so you're not blinding yourself or getting blinded by a red dot at nighttime. I would run an offset optic, whether it be an RMR that can do IR, or a SIG Romeo red dot or micro red dot. I don't know. There's so many options that are cheap out there to run micro red dots and RMRs that I wouldn't even touch with backup irons. If anything, I'd put backup irons on the top rail and not canted.
Yeah.
But even then, I would exacerbate everything I could before resorting to irons.
But yeah, obviously, irons are the last resort.
Very last.
It's always very last resort, but it is good to have that option.
Yeah. That or just throw a pair of backups. No, I'd sight them in first. But,
Right.
yeah.
Alrighty. Well, with that, I think that wraps up episode 4 here of Operation Impart. Hope we've imparted some good knowledge to you. We will see you next week, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And keep in mind, keep on checking the YouTube. Every Saturday, the previous podcast goes live. So if you miss any tidbits, want to rewatch it, share part of it, it all goes up there. TikTok and
Instagram.
TikTok, YouTube, Instagram is all posted in the bio. Go ahead and join it, and we will see you all next time.
All right. See you in the next one.